Alrighty, so today I will be reflecting on House of #EdTech, a podcast by Chris Nesi. This one was titled Micro-Learning and Micro-Presentations. I chose this podcast because I've never heard of the term micro-learning before, so it sparked my interest. Basically, micro-learning is like how it sounds. It deals with relatively small learning units and short-term learning activities. This became pretty popular in the middle of the pandemic when teachers had to do class remotely. They needed a way to keep students engaged, teach them topics, and still have those students absorb the information. Now, microlearning is becoming more and more popular, and it's making a movement into classrooms today, now that things are going back into person. Some examples of microlearning are watching a short instructional video and answering questions, playing an online learning game designed to teach a specific task. You could also give students an infographic. That's also another simple way of teaching students information. You can also use flashcards or virtual flashcards. And one educational tool that came to mind when Chris was doing his podcast was this tool called Duolingo. And it's basically a way for your people to learn a foreign language on their own time, and it's pretty simple and pretty interactive. Chris discussed the education tool called 7 Taps, and basically 7 Taps is similar to a PowerPoint, Nearpod. It's one of those educational tools that teachers use or even corporations use to teach a simple task. Chris even talked about how you can use micro-learning as an assessment tool too. After a teacher does a regular lesson, she could issue a micro-learning assessment, which is similar to an exit ticket.
How has this episode changed your understanding of educational technology? While listening to Chris's podcast, I started to reflect on my own education experiences, and a lot of that was big PowerPoint lectures, and all that information is really hard to absorb and make those deep connections. But if you use micro-learning in your classroom, I feel like students will be more engaged and be more willing to take in that information. If you use microlearning a few times a week, I feel like that's an easy, short way to teach students a specific topic. I would definitely recommend this episode to any educator. I feel like microlearning is becoming more of movement in schools, and I don't think enough teachers are aware of it. There are some disadvantages to microlearning. You obviously can't use this strategy, for example, to learn about the water cycle. That's going to take more time than just 5 to 10 minutes. But you could use this for sight words or vocabulary words. You could, though, use micro-learning assessments or a micro-learning review to go back and reteach the water cycle. I think that would be a good idea. But I definitely recommend this podcast. It also talked about 7 Taps, which is an easy way for teachers to teach students information in a short and quick, effective time. Thank you.